nerves.
Attention!
You can't replicate it in your normal day life.
Go!
No. Off they go. Lea Rowing Club on the Berkshire station, and they're both flying out the blocks there, trying to get the early initiative. It's a pretty good rate, isn't it? Out the blocks there. Seeing the stroke seat, Elliot Watson with the sunglasses on. Concentration's what it's all about.
It is, and after seeing that race just before, the steering is very important as you go through this island. If you're on the buck side, you don't necessarily have the booms and the buoys, and the island really does appear to be this colossal figure, and you can see there's some early steering again out back towards their station.
Archie Norton in the stroke seat for Yarm School, trying to keep composed. And I suppose once the race gets underway, probably even be at this moment when you get away from Temple Island, that's when you can just settle into a bit of a rhythm and start to enjoy it a bit more. Those nerves must be almost overwhelming when you're as young as some of these athletes are. What are they, 16, 17, most of them? Now you can settle in and do what you do.
Yeah, now is the bit that you can really focus on your rhythm. You blast out to the barrier and you start to transition out through into your race pace, which is still pretty ferocious speed, but it's not as hard as you go off at the start. Your rate is a little bit lower, allows you more time to breathe. But as you can see, some of the faces on these young men are in a lot of pain as they come through into the first 600-700 meters.
Well, since this Fawley Challenge Cup heat began, the weather has closed right in. We're getting buffeted by the wind at the finish line. There's some drizzly rain falling now as well. It's got very murky. Looking down the course from the winning post, it looks really quite grim down there now.
It does. The pictures on the TV don't necessarily show the same view that we are seeing. It definitely has changed in the last half an hour. Wind has picked up, the rain has come in. But for these rowers, it might be quite a cooling effect. And actually, depending upon the crew that you're racing in, you might like these conditions where it's a little bit varied, it's a little bit bouncy. You can use your skills, your technique to kind of eke out a little bit more of the power that you're putting in.
14 degrees. Feels quite a lot cooler than that. So that will be welcome for the athletes, not be overheating. Sometimes at this stage of the year, the heat is the issue. Definitely not today. The wind is the issue. It starts off with a tailwind. I think it's moved to a crosswind in the last few minutes. And the water's really smooth, isn't it? Actually, despite the wind, that's pretty still water, mate.
Yeah, it looks a lot worse actually towards the finish as we look out of our position here towards the end of the course. And it looks much smoother and calmer. And actually, that pan there, that lovely shot of the full course of the rest of the race that these two crews have. The lead crew out in front, kind of dominating this race as they press away from Yarm School.
So Lee with Maddock, Gundry in the bow seat, Abby Griffith, Sebastian Burbage and Elliot Watson in the stroke seat that you can see there in the orange of Lea Rowing Club. Looking quite composed. You don't want to read too much into facial expressions, but they look pretty chilled.
No, it's a kind of a very interesting or a nice start for them this race. They would have had to have tested their start out, so that period from the start enclosures all the way to about the barrier when they come into their rhythm. Now they've got a little bit of a lead. They get to test different aspects of their race profile as they go down the course, but they do look fairly relaxed.
This is Yarm School. Yarm up near Middlesbrough, isn't it? Up Durham direction. It's where all the footballers live up there in Yarm. Middlesbrough footballers live there?
Yeah, none of the footballers that play for Arsenal, as you mentioned. That's a bit of a commute for them to come down, but yeah, it has a great pedigree at junior rowing level. Yarm School, there's been some wonderful athletes come through into the programme over the last 10-15 years, so it's been fantastic to see them.
Carving out more of a lead all the time. Lea Rowing looking good. Bow pair with gold medalists at J15 at British Junior Championships in that Lea Rowing boat. Strokeman finished second in his single at Wallingford, not too far from here. And here they are, looking well organised, well drilled.
They are.
The weather closes in.
Yeah, it's really picking up there. You can really see the rain starting to come in. People are going to have to get their waterproof jackets on but not for these rowers. but so far so good for Lea Rowing Club, sorry. The East End of London, a very historical club, has got a great community feel to it, so they'll be watching online, hopefully cheering their crew on if they can't make it down to the course today. But it's a fantastic race, and the conditions do look like they have changed. Like we've mentioned, the rain has started to come in. The rowers are probably feeling that. The wind doesn't look as strong, so it's probably gusting in and out as you go down the course. But this Lea Rowing Club boat now, they'll just be in their rhythm, nice and relaxed, loose shoulders, and to enjoy this last bit as they start to come through the enclosures.
How do you find rowing in the rain? Is it just a grip issue sometimes, or does it have more of an effect than that?
There's a little bit of psychological effect as well, but yeah, the grip, especially when you're sculling, you don't have a wooden oar or handles, you have a rubbery grip. So if it starts to rain heavily, some scullers might use some surf wax to get better grip on their hands. Different techniques, people have different preferences, but it just adds into something that's out of your control a little bit with the rain. I used to hate rowing in the rain, especially when it was raining. If it started raining as I was out in the water, and that was a lot better, but just the dread of having to get out and know you're about to get wet and soak through.
Spoil your hair.
Yeah, and spoil my hair is a big challenge for me on a day-to-day basis. It takes a very long time to dry, Tim.
Well, the Scaldy shower hasn't phased Lea Rowing Club here in front of stewards. Well done to Gundry, Griffith, Burbage and Watson. Not far to go now. Safely through the first round of this Fawley Challenge Cup. They've actually gone a bit central. They've lost their steering in the last few strokes here. I don't think it's going to make any difference. The umpire won't be fussed because that race is done, but a little bit central in the last few strokes in front of stewards. They'll be over the line now, and Lea Rowing Club in the Fawley Challenge Cup safely through against Yarm School.
Yeah, good race there for Lea to start their campaign off. Steered by Maddock, Gundry in the bows. Towards the last 200, 300 metres they come through the enclosure, it did change, but a good effort there from Yarm School, did themselves proud.
That's what happened in the Junior Men's Quad Sculls, the Fawley Challenge Cup. Lea Rowing Club beating Yarm School comfortably.